Hi, Chris with RC Worst here, and today we're going to show you the proper way to check and adjust the air pressure in a Welextrol diaphragm pressure tank. Any adjustments to a new tank must be done before it is installed. If you are checking or adjusting an existing tank, be sure to cut power to your pump and empty the system of all pressure. This can be done by flipping the breaker for your pump and opening a faucet in the home. It doesn't have to be next to the tank per se. Any faucet will do. Leave the faucet open until water stops coming out. Simple as that. Leave the breaker off until you're finished checking the tank. If you try to check the air pressure without emptying the water pressure, you will not get an accurate reading. It will simply display what the pressure is in the system at that time and have no reflection on what the tank is pressurized to. Additionally, when it comes to draining a tank, I want to remind you that the easiest method for draining a tank is by using one of our RC Worst Tank T assemblies. So the advantage of using the Tank T assembly, as I have right here, is that this RC Worst Tank T assembly features a no-kink AY McDonald hose bib for easy drainage of the tank, as often these Tank Ts come right out of the bottom of the tank and are attached to the plumbing in your house. And the no-kink hose bib, since often their Tank Ts are quite low to the ground, allows you to easily hook up a hose and run it outside for easy drainage. Now, in order to check the pressure in the tank, you will need a pressure gauge of some sort, preferably a dial or digital type gauge for accuracy, but a standard tire gauge will work in a pinch. The location that you check the pressure in the tank is right here on top. You unscrew this little black cap on top of the tank and you have just a standard air valve. And it's simply like what you see on a bike tire or a vehicle tire. Any standard air pressure checker will work in this situation. Once the water pressure has been drained from the system and the pump has been shut off, you can put your pressure checker on here to verify that you've got the appropriate pressure in the tank. Once you've checked the pressure in the tank and you're finished, replace the black cap. This only needs to be threaded on finger tight, so don't over tighten it or you run the risk of damaging the cap or the tank. If you ever notice water coming out of this valve port, that's a sign that the diaphragm has failed and the tank needs to be replaced. The Welextrol tanks feature the thickest diaphragm in the industry, so that's certainly where I would put my money. So now that we've talked about checking the air pressure in the tank, you may be wondering, well, what pressure does it need to be set to? That's the obvious question that follows how to check it. Well, the real answer is it depends on what the pressure setting of your system is. You want the air pressure in the tank to be set to 2 psi below the cut-in pressure of your pump or pressure switch. So, for example, in most configurations, you're going to have a pressure switch that turns the pump on and off, and that pressure switch in a lot of situations is preset to 40 or 60 psi, or whatever your particular scenario might be. So the cut-in pressure would be the 40 in this case, so you would want your pressure tank to be set at 38 psi. All Welextrol tanks come pre-charged to 38 psi. So if your pressure switch is set to the most common 40-60, no adjusting is required. However, if you're running a little lower or a little higher, you will need to adjust it just a little. To be specific, 2 pounds below your pump's cut-in pressure. Pro tip, if you don't know the setting of your pressure switch, look for a pressure gauge installed near the tank or pressure switch. Open a faucet and take note of what pressure your pump turns on at. This is your cut-in pressure. Most pressure switches have their settings printed on the label inside the cover. Be careful though, it may have been adjusted, as many pressure switches are adjustable. The Tank T assembly also makes this process easy. We've got the pressure switch here and a pressure gauge that would allow you to drain the system with the no-kink hose bib and watch the pressure cycle, and you would immediately know by hearing the click of the pressure switch, and that would allow you to test your system to determine what the appropriate pressure setting would be. If you check the pressure in your tank and find that it's 3 psi below your pump's cut-in pressure or more, you'll need to add a little air. The best way to add air to your tank is to use an air compressor. Once you've added enough air, wait 15 minutes and check the pressure again to ensure that there are no air leaks. Hopefully this video has answered all your questions on checking and adjusting the pressure inside of your Wellextrol pressure tank. If it didn't, let us know in the comments below. We'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Additionally, if you found this video useful, like and subscribe for more great content. We'll catch you on the flip side.